Hello, welcome. I'm just going to sew here for about 30 minutes, getting ready for some clients that are coming this week. And I figured I'd invite you guys along. I am trying out YouTube's new vertical live this way. What do you think? It's exciting, huh? So I'm going to try that out and see if I can get some more content out there for you guys to follow along and see how we do things. The reason why I wanted to do this, oh, look, she's got a hole that we need to fix. The reason why I want to do this too is because producing videos, I have to like edit them and I put a lot of work into filming them and whatnot. So I just thought, if I could just chill out and just do some live streams, see if we can get some content out there that's not so time consuming to make. This is literally ripped through. That is crazy. All right, so basically I'm undoing her understitching. I'm just breaking the thread. It's along the edge here of the lining. Break every other thread just to weaken things. Sometimes that opens right up, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to slide my razor right through that seam, open things up. And I need to look at the notes and see what we're doing. I know we are taking her in and we're raising her waist. And this is her reception gown. So she does not want me to do this in a way that is incredibly involved and expensive. She wants it done, AKA good enough. So you get to see a good enough alteration on this dress today. But yeah, we're raising the waist, and the gold standard, of course, is to like take the waist apart from the skirt and literally shorten it and sew it back together. But this one, we're just going to kind of change, like raise where the waist happens and then come out. So we'll see how that goes. I remember I had a note about even let the hip out a little bit because she's got some wrinkles going on here. So we're going to do that as well. We're going to let the hip out just a smidge. So this is what I do is I prep the top. Then I go between the layers. She has several layers to this little sheath dress here. The fabric is wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So she's kind of inverted now. You can see these seams. Ooh, I do not like it when manufacturers do this. Look, the seam allowance here, and on the good fabric layer, they gave us a lot of seam allowance as well. But then on these linings, look, that's all they gave us. That's dreadful. Why? I know they're saving money, but like if you think about it, how can we can't let these layers out as much as we let out the others without gusseting. So that's kind of disappointing. Hello. I'm saying hello to Jeanette. I'm just coming around and looking at this. Get in a little bit closer so you guys can see. Let's see here. Yeah, I really want you like mostly above the machine. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to show you my notes. This is what my notes look like. I took her before pictures on July 1st, so I can look them up on my phone. But I'm going to take it in 3/4 of an inch folded. And to raise the waist, we're just going to kind of bloom right out before we get to the waist seam. Let out a smidge if I can, because I have these marks in the back. So this is what my notes look like from fittings. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Diane. And Vanessa, I think you already enrolled in the fitting finesse. You're going to see lots of these. I'm doing a boot camp, guys. I'm not going to talk about it the whole time, but I'll just mention it. I'm doing it in early August. If you want to learn about it, you can go to fittingfinesse.com. But I'm going to show you 75 before pictures of dresses and go over them and show you how I would sketch them and how I'm going to price them and just all the different little things to learn about it. So you're going to see things like this. These are what my notes typically look like. I don't often pin on the actual dresses with pins. I usually do sketches. I'm not knocking people who do pin. But see, I can just put this up here. Let's see. And just put it there as I work. And let's see. I wish I could get you a little bit closer. Just a wee bit closer without the... There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to work well. All right. So for those just joining, I'm lamenting the fact that they gave us this much seam allowance, but then 2 of the layers only have this much seam allowance. It's so sad when I kind of need all that. Rats. Well, anywho. Oh, back to the subject of vertical live stream, guys. I have put this on my calendar, and I'm going to do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as long as it works out well for my channel. So obviously I won't do it if it doesn't work out well. But I have plans. I marked it from now to the end of the year. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to be going live around noon or 1 every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. And I'll schedule it ahead of time where you guys can see what time it'll be. It's almost always 1. In my calendar, I think there were only, see, during the fitting finesse, I've got those 3 weeks that I've got to do noon instead of 1 because the fitting finesse starts at 1. And then there's another one, I think it's next week. I have to do that one at, I forget what time. Oh, I said 10 a.m. because next week, guys, I'm going to be in the garment district of NYC. So I'm going to get up and at 'em and be live streaming by 10 and kind of walk around with you guys a little bit out there. I'm going to do some of that also with my Sparkle membership. But I'll do that with you guys as well. I'm super excited about that. The reason why I can't do 1 o'clock on that day is because I'll actually be in a meeting. I have a meeting from like 12 to 6 or so, something like that. The whole point of my trip. So that day's 10 a.m. But all the rest of them, yeah, noon or 1. And so what I'll do, I used to live stream, fun fact, years ago. I tried it for a bit. That was before they had the vertical live stream. But what I'll do is, ooh, there we go. That came out nice, didn't it? I'm basically just going to be sewing, and then every now and then I'm going to pop up and read what you guys are saying in the chat. So if you do have questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions, but I don't see them necessarily while I'm working. Sometimes I may have a second phone where I watch them. All right, so this is my little trick. You know, it's so much easier to open up a seam before you sew the next seam. So much easier. But you don't want this to walk real bad, right? So I just kind of break it open intermittently. That saves me so much time. I hope you guys are like catching what I just said. I hope I said it clear enough, because man, does it make a difference. All right, so let me bring a light over here for you to be able to see better. See if that helps any. All right, here we go. So it said 3/4 of an inch folded. So that's what I'm looking at, is I want this to hit about 3/4 of an inch away from this original seam. Make sure my stitch length and everything is okay. I actually had this machine broken down again. You know, I just painted it and redid her and stuff, but I had her broken down yesterday because I did the glitter and clear coat here. So I've been working on getting her set back up. This is the first time I've sewn with her since I put the clear coat on. All right, so now it's so easy to open this, and we know it didn't walk. So that way I'm not having to like pick it out. All right. This one, I'm going to switch my foot, and I'm just going to sew to the very edge because it's only serged now. I took out that little straight stitch thing that they had going on there. I'm just going to sew the very, very edge. I love the left zipper foot for that. Did you guys catch my rap about the left zipper foot? You can sew to the edge without getting in the weeds, or without falling in the weeds, I think is what I said. All right, so we got this. Now, to keep it from pulling, we don't fully splay this open and sew it all the way across. We're going to splay it open and then angle it up a little bit. That gives her room to be bending and such. And then I also like to swoop up a little bit higher than the original waist seam when I'm shortening a waist. So basically this lining is super lightweight, so I just let it out all the way, and I'm just kind of letting it naturally gather right there. So see how I'm angling this up, making sure this is kind of straight-ish. And then I'm going to sew right above the original seam. Because when you reshape a seam like this, it actually, it makes this part longer. And you don't want it to pucker out weirdly. And we want the waist to be even shorter. So that's why I do that, and it works beautifully. So see how that is? These are winging up, and I scooped up with that stitch, and that's going to lay beautifully on her. That is so like counterintuitive to like sewing all your straight lines. But how many straight lines do you see on a human being? And there's just so many forces at play with fabric, you know, that we need to kind of respect them and give them room. Kind of like a horse, how they say, give them the lead. We got to give this fabric the lead to move as it needs to. All right. Here we go. All right, kind of the same deal with this layer. I'm just going to let it out all the way. And then I've got that fancy layer. We call that the shell layer. The outer fabric, called the shell layer. I have to separate that from here. Guys, I wish you could feel this fabric. It's so wonderful. There we go. See that? How much seam allowance they give us compared to this? Rascals. They're rascals. The dress actually fits her in the hips very well, so I'm not concerned about this having to come out very much in the hips. It's literally just the problem of her being shorter waisted than the dress. That's all we are addressing. These are nice long stitches too. At least they thought about that for us. All right. That left zipper foot again. That's because, fun fact, a lot of people don't, either they don't know this or they don't believe it. I'm not sure. But serging alone is not creating a good, strong seam for you. That's why in clothing manufacturing, it's usually a 5-thread serger that gives you your straight seam right here, and then you've got your serged there. The serging, if you don't have a straight seam to the side of it, the serging pulls and you get little lines of stitches that are visible and a lot of stretch. Now, have I ever used that to give me the extra ease that I need on a very secret inside layer that nobody's going to see and it would be too tight otherwise? Yes, I have. This dress, though, is pretty sheer. Not sheer, that's not the right word, but I feel like it's not going to keep any secrets for us. The fabric is just so thin and light and breezy. So, I'm afraid that if one of these layers were to rip a little bit, that it would really glow through. Her skin would glow through. And we don't want that. Here's my intermittent breaking open of the seam. We're going to do 3/4 again. So, you know, when you do an alteration, you have to do it 4 times. So here we go. This. Raise that waist again. All right, so let's get to that shell layer of the skirt by flipping the lining out of the way. There she is. As soon as I finish this seam and put the waist seam together, I'm gonna stand up and see if you guys have any questions. It can be about anything, really. It doesn't have to be about this dress. Doesn't mean I'll answer it. If you're like, what's your credit card number? I don't have to answer those kind of questions. All right. There we go. We got that. I apologize for the weed eating. Guys, this intermittent sunshine versus rain, it's like we live in a jungle. It's crazy. Giving myself lots of length here to be able to ease that back in without having a pucker. This fabric is actually not that easy to sew. It feels beautiful, but it's got like a suede like drag to it. So I may have to adjust this once I see it on her, because I'm not really letting out this hip very much at all. So we'll just have to see it on her and go from there. Should we do more or less? Things are going to be so different once it's sitting on her body differently. All right, so I'm stacking all of my layers here, making sure they're tipped down. Let's see. Gosh. This one's just a little bit more. When I stacked them together, there was a pucker in there. I had such a loose belt on this machine before I worked on it. I gave it an oil change and replaced the belt. The belt had gotten so loose, like my bobbin winder didn't work anymore. I would always have to start the stitch with the hand wheel manually. The belt wasn't tight enough to actually make it go on its own. Once it got going, it was fine, but it's kind of like a old truck. You have to roll start or something. It was kind of that feeling, which was fine. But now the belt is so tight that when I have to advance it with a hand wheel, I'm just like, ugh, what is going on? I was spoiled. But my bobbin winder works again. If I can remember, it's over there. I always tend to forget, and you know, the release doesn't always disengage as it should on these machines, and so I end up winding a bunch of extra thread. All right, somebody emailed me about this the other day. When you take it in, these guys no longer line up. Like, this is like stepped down so much compared to up here now. See that? So you have to create a new angle. And also, talking about pulling, I don't want to lay these completely flat, right? If I splay those completely flat, it's definitely going to pull. So I go like this. I match the angle like this and like that. And then this I can bring forward for the most part. It's fine. Then this is how I recreate the angle. I'm going to start up here, come down like this, and I'm drawing a mental line. I call it my laser eye. I'm going from here down to here. So I held those in place. Then I'm going to reposition everything. Remember, this is kind of puckering forward, and that's okay because I don't want it to pull at the sides. It's critical, guys. Now I'm going to go from this point to this point, making a nice little straight line there. And now I'm going to show you our new angle. This is how it looks inside. And once you press it, it's pretty much going to do this, and you're going to have this collapsing in here. But instead of this getting pulled, if you ever have like pulls coming like this at the side of your bodice, it's because you may have splayed that open and sewed it down flat. And when you have a curve like this, where the girl is shorter waisted than the design of the dress was intended, it's going to pull if you don't give her that extra. All right, so here's our new side seam. Isn't that beautiful? That's that new angle. And look at how loose she is. She's not pulling one bit. Now you can replace this understitching by machine or hand, or you can do what I like to do. I just stitch in the ditch, and I have permission to do that on this dress for sure, because she does not want me to do anything the long way on this dress. So you lay it down and you stitch inside the seam. This is going to do a couple things. It's going to work almost like the understitching, where the lining can't roll out, but it's also going to really strengthen things when we attach the hang loop in there. And right now things are a little fluffy, so it's a little more obvious, but once we press it or seam it and apply the pressure of her wearing it, it's going to be much better. Now, a couple things I would do before I let this go out the door. I would make sure that these are aligned, which they're not right now, right? And all this needs to be seamed out. I'm not going to bother myself with that right now. I would not press this out right now, because what if it's wrong? Now we've got two old seams that are pressed in that we got to get rid of. So I would just hit it with steam to supple it up right before she tries it on. And then once I verify that this is the correct size, then I will fix everything. So, okay, if it's laying like this, it's easy to be like, oh, wait, it's getting picked up. But it's really not, because her body is going to be curving it this way. Remember, here's her waist. So this is going to be laying just fine. All right, let me just see if you guys have any questions. Thank you for joining me, by the way. Very first vertical live stream. Oh, hello, Mystical. Thank you so much. She gave me a super chat, guys. Thank you. That was so sweet of you. She found my channel yesterday. We were in on a meeting together, and she binge watched me. And I'm so sorry, Mystical. I kept you awake all night. But thank you for that super chat. That's sweet. Yes, Ms. Giselle, we do miss the lives. For some of you guys who were kind of like with me a few years ago, I did live streams at the same time every week. I'm trying to think, was it on Wednesdays that I did it? But at the time, YouTube's notification system was a little bit wonky. And so people would get notified that I was going live because they had hit the bell notification when I would upload, right? And a lot of people did not like that. And instead of the thing being to be able to like turn off notifications, it was unsubscribe. So I was losing subscribers, like, they were just washing downstream. So yeah, I had to quit that because I was like mistakenly losing subscribers. They didn't mean to unsubscribe. They were meaning to unsubscribe from notifications. So anyhow, whew, guys, it is hot in the South. This is what I got this morning. I'm so excited about it. I went to Sonic and I got a water with lime, and this has been getting me through the day. All right, let me see these chats. I'm going to slide through. Let's see. Oh, nice, Jennifer. I'm glad you popped up on my phone. So not only did I pop up on yours, but you popped up on mine. So I am a faceless channel, so I know that's kind of weird for people who are used to faces. But yeah, this is a faceless channel just because it's such an effective teaching method when people only see hands because it's an immersive experience and they picture their own hands and their own sewing machine. So yeah, in my courses, I do actually show my face because I'm actually doing like talking head instruction. But yeah, on here I'm faceless. So welcome, Jennifer. Am I hiring? Okay, so Beth is asking, do you ever give options for alterations? For example, sometimes I say, do this the correct way so it can't be seen as blah, 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 or I can do it a different way for blah, blah, blah. Yes, absolutely, Beth. Anytime there is like a variation in price, I absolutely do that. Because I would want that as a customer, right? So there are some sewists who are like, no, my name is on it and I'll only do my best work. And it's just, this is what it costs and it is what it is. And that is fine. If any of you are of that business model, rock on. I just like to give people options. I'm in a area that is very close to like rural stuff, poverty stuff, and it's also very close to like very high earners. So, in order to just serve my region, I feel like it's important to offer price ranges. So, all right, let's see. Do you trim the extra material or just press? Okay. Dia, good to see you by the way. So great to see you. I do just actually I said press with this dress. I'm going to kind of do a float press. So I'm going to supple it up with steam. I'm going to have it on ham. Of course, this is when I've confirmed the alteration is right, everything's lined up and good. This is just what I would do to prep for her fitting to verify that the resizing and the raising of the waist was correct. So I would supple it with steam and then I would kind of hover. By that I mean like the dress is here. I would have my iron like this, where the pressure of the steam is what's pressing, not any weight or pressing pressure of the sole plate, because this is just it's just so thin and it's going to show everything. So I feel like all the little layers underneath it would show if I pressed it. Like I would have seam allowance tracks if I press this really hard, and I don't want to do that to her. So when I say press on this dress, thank you for asking for clarification. I would just do like a hover press. And then I do not trim the seam allowances unless it is right before the wedding and the bride has requested it or has complained about the visibility of the seam allowances. The reason why I don't do that is because the dress is not mine. And typically with tailoring, I think it's important not to take away any of the fabric unless you absolutely have to. The goal is for this to someday be able to be let out by someone else and be worn just as it was originally made. Look at this. I'm seeing an old seam. This has been altered before. Look at that. Look at that. So anyhow, there's that. Let's see. Yes, Dia. Isn't Discord wonderful? I just love it. I do have a Discord, guys. Let's see. 0 women have straight lines. That's right. We don't have straight lines. Let's see. Oh, Mystical. Your great-grandmother has the red one. I would love a red sewing machine. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Jeanette is wanting to see about can I show you my final results of this dress? I don't know. I'm willing to. I'm willing to. The reason why I don't want to promise that is because I think this bride gets married in like late September or October, and her appointments are quite spread out. And I just know I just have a lot going on. By the time she goes to get married and she would have a proper after picture, I would probably forget to post it. So if you're in my Discord, remind me. But it's a very good chance that I won't even remember which dress it was. So, like, to be able to connect this dress with her name. You know what I mean? Butterfly, I'm glad that you caught the live stream as well. Anybody joining in right now? I know you're not seeing me because I'm on the other side of my phone reading the questions. Let's see. That's right, Mystical. I'm a hand model with this channel. Thank you, Dia. She loves my pincushion. This was from my daughter-in-law. It's a little mushy. So I just hot glued a magnet to it. And there she be. And this is how I keep it organized. Like, these are my 9 ball points. These are my 14s. And then I have my 18s over here. I have my hand sewing needles, which many times the hand sewing needles are much longer and thicker for bridal sewing than typical sewing. I love this. It allows me to make a lot of stitches in a running stitch row. And I have a lot of control over it, and it's easy to push through, and the eye is much less likely to go through my finger when I'm pushing because I don't use a thimble every time I hand sew. This is just a paid actor. Isn't this a pretty thimble though? Look at that. I love old thimbles. I love to collect old thimbles. Oh, wait, let me show you. I gotta show you guys this other thing. Well, there's my little mushy wind chime too. Okay, let's see. This one, this was made by an artisan. Thimbles are worn typically on the 3rd finger, but people have preferences. I need to have like this engraved, I think, with initials. I think that's what that is blank for. But look at this. This was made by an artisan. It has the hole for your fingernail to fit. The one thing that I'm sad about this, and it is real gold, the one thing I'm sad about with this is it doesn't have a crown. I love a crown. This doesn't have a crown either. So I wouldn't actually sew with these thimbles. The crown is that ridge that when you're pushing that needle, the eye of the needle gets caught on the crown so you can really push it. Otherwise, if you don't have a crown and you're putting a lot of pressure on it, the eye of the needle can slip off and it could get you under your nail or just slip off, and that's a pain. So little bit of thimble anatomy for you guys. All right, so I'm going back to the questions here. Let's see. Sandra says, hi, I've been thinking of getting a sewing machine and I wanted to learn. Then you pop up. Maybe it's a sign to do it. Yeah, maybe it is. Now, if you buy a home sewing machine model, my favorite kind of home sewing machine brand is Janome or Janome. People call them different things. Let me give you an example here. Sorry, my tripod legs are caught in some dresses behind here. This Janome Mylock serger, okay? It's over 20 years old, and we use it in a full-time commercial sewing shop. And I don't think I've ever had it serviced. Maybe once years ago, and I forgot. But I literally don't ever have it serviced. I just keep her really, really oiled. Yeah, and I just love her. She just keeps on ticking. And then this one I use for my applique stitching. We've kind of outfitted her for that. She has a ruffler on her right now, but we use her a lot for the invisible thread applique stitching. She's kind of dusty. It's been a minute. Here is my cover stitch, which is a Janome. I do not strongly recommend that anybody buys a home model cover stitch machine. If you need one at all on the regular for paid projects, just get a commercial one. We just don't use it that often. So I have this, but I have found no matter the brand, home model cover stitch machines are not great. And then we have this. this singer. She's the 611G. She's so wonderful. And I kind of almost want to paint her too. And then this girl's just for looks, but she's the red eye decals. Love her. That's my little mini sewing room tour. Let me see what other questions you guys have. Let's see. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah, so Mystical, I don't use a steamer, I think is what you mean. I use, it's a all-in-one. I'll do another live from my cutting room. That's where my ironing table is. It's like a boiler, a hand iron, you know, combined. So let's see. I'm not sure what you're meaning, the difference when you're saying, would you ever use a steam garment pressed? I'm not really sure what you mean. Are you meaning like the dry cleaners, how they do the big press thing? I'm not sure. Let's see. Angie, I'm so glad you could come. Good to have you, Angie Gregory. She's a faithful girl. Past, present, now says first pronounced way is correct. Janome is sturdy. So you pronounce it Janome too. That's how I've always pronounced it. Some people, you know, they're ready to like fight you in the streets if if you pronounce something slightly different. Okay. Do you ever use a steamer for garments or only use the iron steam press you suggested? Okay, so this is a great question because I do wedding day services sometimes, and I do have one of those commercial steamers that's got like the stand that you hang the dresses on and you go up and down, kind of like what you see in retail environments. I have a couple of those, and I'm happy to rent them out for wedding parties, but I actually do not even take that one. I take my iron with the boiler. Yeah, I just love it. It's so much better. So I'm real happy with it. Yes, Vanessa, I'm with you, girl. She bought a Juki cover stitch and used it once. Donated to charity and wrote it off. So the home model cover stitch machines have issues with presser foot pressure. That is a consistent issue with them, and I'm not sure why, but that's the deal. So today's goal, I was just gonna hop on here for like 30 minutes, and here we are at 42 minutes. I'm so excited that you guys came, but obviously I can't sew as fast when I do a live stream. So I've got to get down to business because this girl actually comes tomorrow. So I'm working a little bit late, little bit last minute here. Here's a room shop view if you want to see. If any of you are new to my channel, we have this rigging system which really helps you hang the dresses and raise and lower them as you work so they're not running away from you. Oh, Angie, you bought a Burnett cover stitch. Used it a few times. Hope you'll be happy with it. I hope you're happy with it too. So I've had my cover stitch for probably 10 years. It's not bad enough for me to like get rid of it. I just feel like if anybody's going to use it on the regular commercially, if you have the space, it's probably better just to buy an industrial one. I did do one more layer of effects on my sewing machine that I just refinished. So yesterday I added the glitter layer. I love it. I'm so excited. I added the glitter layer and put the clear coat there to seal in the decal. So yeah. You guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Mystical, again, for the super chats. I really appreciate it. You made my first vertical live stream very, very special. Dia, enjoy your vacation. She's binge watching. Hey, it's professional development. Write it off, right? Mrs. So-and-so in Canada, my hubby is putting a rigging system in. That is right. That'll keep you from having that. They call it coat hanger pain. It comes down your neck, across your traps, into your shoulders. They call that coat hanger pain. It's really going to help with that. And we don't need to also be tearing out our shoulders, do we? No, we don't. We don't need rotator cuff injuries. So that's the rigging system. You guys all have a wonderful, beautiful day. Don't forget, we're going to be going live now Monday, Wednesday, Friday, almost always at 1 o'clock with a few exceptions. So just be looking out for the schedule. I'm going to post it on Discord when I go live. You can join my free Discord community. And then I'm also going to be scheduling these ahead of time. So you'll be able to see on YouTube what time I'm going to be going live with my vertical lives. You can also DM me on Instagram if you want to know the schedule. Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Bye.